Hey fam. Waving hand, you thought China's tech game was already next level? Think again, they're about to drop a 50 trillion yuan future bomb that'll blow your mind. We're talking quantum networks that can't be hacked, 6G 10x faster than 5G, download a season of your show in seconds, humanoid robots scoring 1.2 billion yuan deals, and fusion energy that copies the sun. Oh, and they're dominating biotech, BCIs, and industrial automation, all at once. How's this even possible? Spoiler, it's a strategic cheat code the world hasn't cracked. Buckle up, we're exposing the tech dragons taking over the future.
So, what does the next chapter for a global economic superpower actually look like? Well, China's not leaving it to chance. They've laid out a blueprint, a huge strategic bet on the industries that will define our future. And we're not talking about small tweaks here. This is a plan years in the making to completely dominate the next wave of technology. So what's inside this blueprint? Let's dive in and see. It all really kicks off with this number, 50 trillion yuan. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's the mind-boggling market size these new industries are expected to reach by 2030. To give you some perspective, that's more than double the entire economy of Japan. So yeah, this isn't just some vague goal, it's a massive declaration of what's to come.
So, how in the world are they going to get there? Well, it all comes down to these 6 strategic pillars. You can think of these as the main engines that are going to drive the country's next big growth spurt. And this is where things get really interesting. For each one of these, we're going to look at the key companies that are leading the charge and see exactly how they fit into this grand vision.
All right, first up, let's explore the new digital frontier. Think of this section as the absolute bedrock for everything else we're going to talk about today. It's all about building the fundamental plumbing of the future. We're talking everything from unhackable communications to reality-bending computing power.
You know, what's so fascinating here is how China is playing both sides of the quantum coin. On one hand, you've got Guadan, basically the national team for quantum communication. Their job is all about security, building these unhackable networks for the government, for banks, for critical infrastructure. They've got over 70% of the domestic market locked down. But then, on the other hand, you have Sugan, and they're focused on the raw, brute force power of quantum computing. Their Wukong computer is already being used in over 130 countries. It's a classic strategy, really. Play defense at home and play offense abroad.
And you see that same exact dual strategy when you look at 6G. This is way more than just making your phone a little faster. On the ground, you have companies like ZTE just pushing the absolute limits of speed. I mean, their prototype is hitting 100 gigabits per second. That is literally 10 times faster than 5G. But of course, speed on the ground is only half the battle. So, up in space, China Satcom is building out the Hongyan constellation, a huge satellite network that's aiming for total seamless global coverage. It's a direct competitor to services like Starlink. The big picture goal? A single integrated network that connects absolutely everything, everywhere. Okay, so we've got the digital infrastructure covered. Now let's shift gears and look at how China plans to remake the physical world. This is where things get tangible, where you can see these breakthrough technologies changing everything from how we make things to how we treat diseases.
Just take a look at this. This is what you call total market domination. Huaheng Biotech controls over 60% of the entire global market for certain amino acids. So how they do it? Through something called biomanufacturing. Basically, they use synthetic biology to create these tiny microbes that produce what they need through fermentation. And here's the real game changer. This process cuts their production costs by more than 42%. Plus, it's way better for the environment. That right there is how you corner a market.
And then over in medicine, you have these absolute giants like Aptech. They're what's called a CDMO. The easiest way to think about them is as the ultimate partner for the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies. You have an idea for a drug? WuXi can take it from that initial spark of an idea through all the R&D and all the way to mass producing it for the entire world. They're not just some contractor. They're like the essential infrastructure of the entire global drug development pipeline.
Okay, next up is this pillar they call giant intelligence, and it all starts with humanoid robots like Ubitech's Walker X. What's really incredible here is that they've managed to make its key parts almost entirely domestically. We're talking 100% domestic production. That's huge, because it means they don't have to rely on foreign suppliers. And this isn't just some lab project. They just landed a massive 1.2 billion yuan order to put their robots to work in Saudi Arabia's futuristic Neom city.
Now, while those humanoid robots definitely grab the headlines, the real war is being fought in industrial automation, and that's where a company like Eston comes in.
You can see from this chart, their growth is just off the charts, way faster than the industry average. So what's their secret? Their whole strategy is to become over 90% self-sufficient in all the core components, the controllers, the servo systems, the whole shebang. That lets them go head-to-head on both price and performance against the big foreign companies that have dominated this market for years.
All right, our final section takes us into some seriously futuristic territory. I mean, this is the really long-term, almost science fiction level stuff. We're talking about the ultimate sources of energy and creating a direct link between the human brain and computers.
Nuclear fusion. It's basically the power of the sun, but right here on Earth. It's the holy grail of clean energy, right? But it's also unbelievably difficult to pull off. This timeline really shows you the scale of the ambition here. A company called Lia Jingshang Opto is a supercritical piece of this puzzle. They supply the high-temperature superconducting magnets you need to contain the reaction. And while commercial fusion power might still be decades away, the fact that they're a core supplier for these national projects today puts them right at the heart of this incredible long-term energy dream.
And finally, we get to the brain-computer interface, or BCI. And guess what? We see that same two-pronged approach all over again. On the invasive side, you've got medical institutions like Sanbo Brain Hospital. They're using their incredible surgical resources to run clinical trials for patients with paralysis, really aiming for these life-changing medical miracles. But on the non-invasive side, you've got a tech giant like iFlyTech creating consumer headbands that use AI to track things like focus and attention for students. Two very different paths, same core technology.
And this quote just perfectly sums up the sheer ambition of it all. This isn't just about fixing things that are broken. It's about pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. The goal is a dual breakthrough. First, restore human function for those who've lost it. And second, ultimately, enhance human capability for everyone.
So we've looked at quantum tech, 6G, biotech, robotics, nuclear fusion, and brain-computer interfaces. It's a lot, I know, but what's the common thread that ties all of these different fields together? How is China systematically creating champions in all these areas at once? Well, it turns out there's a very clear, very repeatable formula at work here.
This is it. This is the winning formula. It's a really powerful mix of three key ingredients. You've got top-down support from the state, a relentless, aggressive push for technological self-sufficiency, and a huge built-in market that pretty much guarantees demand. You put those three things together, and you've basically created a powerful engine for building entire industries from the ground up.
Let's just quickly break it down into its three pillars. So it all starts with policy. The state points at an industry and says, that one, that's strategically important, and then it floods it with support and subsidies. That support then fuels the second pillar, technology. The companies in that industry pour money into R&D with the goal of owning their entire supply chain. And finally, you get the orders. Those big state projects create guaranteed contracts, which gives the companies revenue, validates their tech, and funds the next cycle of R&D. You see how it works? It's a powerful, self-reinforcing loop.
So when you look at it all together, you realize this isn't just a random list of cool projects. It is a systematic, deliberate approach to building the future. The blueprint is clear, the formula is in place, and these new tech dragons are already starting to fly. The only real question left is which of them is going to be the one to define the next decade?